Welcome to George Coll Fine Art. Here, the viewer is encouraged to get outside and paint from life. George's job is to provide the tools to solve the many technical challenges faced in rendering landscape paintings. View the library of landscape paintings offered and become a subscriber. You can also purchase tutorial videos, plus original tutorial and studio paintings. Thank you. And if you like what you see, click the subscribe button and join in on the fun.
Hello, I'm George Coll and welcome to part one of Wyoming Fall. So Jenny and I were up in Wyoming last week for 5.5 days and found all kinds of fall colors. I think we hit Wyoming just at the peak of the aspen coloration. So that was a wonderful trip, and but now to get started and do some of those paintings. So this one, called Wyoming Fall, is going to be a 3-part series, and today was block-in. I go through that, describing what that is, starting with some sort of a line drawing of where the basic shapes are, not every little detail, and start building up with color after that. So, welcome to part one, and get outside and paint. Paint with your friends, get critiques, and don't be intimidated by a white canvas. All right, let's get started in painting. All right. Hello, and welcome to part one of a new 3-part series titled Wyoming Fall. So last week Jenny and I were up in the southern Wyoming area, jeeping around for 5 days. So nice fall colors, and it's that time of year to do a fall painting. So I think this particular location is up in the big in the Medicine Bow Mountains of southern Wyoming. My tools, you know, I have the old trusty palette knife, I have my scraper, and it looks like I have a 4 flat, 2 flat, and I don't know what this is, but it's a number 1. It may have been a filbert or a flat at one time, so worn out, I can't quite make it out. So in part one, what I want to do is, I gotta start my timer. Nope, sorry. All right, so we have 30 minutes to get this thing pretty much, this 9 by 12, pretty much laid in as to where the shapes and the shape values are going to be. So as I go along, I can explain that. Excuse me. But right now I want a drawing color, and I'll make something more in the gray family. So here's some blue, some warm gray. Let me get some yellow ochre in there. And I think I'm going to change that to more yellow ochre because of all the fall stuff going on. So it still has that gray blue in it, but I also have a lot of yellow ochre going on here. Okay, nice neutral color. So again, it was ultra blue, a warm gray, and yellow ochre. So I'm going to go back to that number 1 brush. I'm going to add just a little bit of Gamsol in it and figure out where the shapes are going to be. Now, the simplest one is the saddle up behind here. It kind of goes here and up. And then there's a clump of bushes and trees here in this area, and then more trees in here, and some big guys right in here, and then a whole bunch of them over on the left. They're kind of coming forward. And then with some aspen trees, colorful aspen trees in this area back in here. All right. When we were up in Wyoming, we had 5 days of blue skies and sunny blue skies, starry nights, and no wind, which I've never been in Wyoming without wind. I don't know what that's all about. So that was a new experience for me. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. That's that bush thing we saw. And there's more bushes back in here, a few more pine trees. Pretty strong shadow out in this area. There's a great big abstract shape. It's like some sort of a V here. Kind of right in that area. And another one right in here and here. And a lighter case over here. Then we have a bunch of bushes over in this area. Just trying to get an idea. Then there's a big dark over in this area in here. There's other little shoots of darks coming in areas around the place. So those are just my outlines, and now I want to increase the value here of, let's figure out some of these darks. So let's go blue. And let's go with some Indian yellow. Indian yellow. And a little bit of cad yellow medium. Back to Indian. And I think we're going to use the side of this brush to need a little bit more, just a little bit of Gamsol medium to grease it up a little bit and get some mileage out of it. In other words, it's not such a dry stroke. And there's some darks in here. I'm just going to use a little bit of the side brush here. And over in here there's a little bit. And I'll put some trees. Some pretty good trees right in here too. Kind of smudge it in there a little bit. So to make a loose painting, you kind of start loose. As you see, I'm trying to figure out where the general shapes are going to be, but I'm not going in at this point and doing a lot of really detailed work. It's just not necessary for me at this time to do that. Now, there's some more darks in front, and I'm going to go with a little bit of darker Prussian and some transparent oxide red. Raw sienna, Prussian, and I'm going to see it's less green and more, well, just a nice rich color, dark color. And a little lighter over in here. And again, there's a dark right in here I want to get. Maybe a little bit more Prussian, raw sienna, raw sienna. And I'm getting some more darks on the bottom of these trees over here. And I'll get some darks in the center guys in here. And a little bit lighter brush strokes in the base of these fellows down here, these. I'm going to mix some of these two colors, these two values I have here. So I'm going to get a little bit of Gamsol in here. And I'm going to go more for the midtones, where these are more of the darker side. This is going to go in between the lights and darks. Just a little bit of Gamsol. Very little. Just want to get a little mileage out of this thing. Because over here on this side, it's a little bit more green-gray. And up here, it's kind of a warmer yellow ochre, greeny thing. And I'm going back and just see how I'm twirling the brush. I'm getting all the paint off of all sides of it. That was the turning of the getting paint off of both sides. And if you've lost your dark, just go back in with cobalt, raw sienna, and voila. Get a few more in there. Because that shape down there in the foreground is really important. All right, I better stay tuned to what my timer is. I've got 20 minutes left. All right, so everybody wants to jump into the gold on the upper right, the aspen trees. Let's work with some of these colors right in here. So I think maybe the place to start is cad yellow medium and warm gray. Cad yellow medium and warm gray. Just a good basic fall color. Kind of an undertone. I'll go brighter on top. But brights are usually brighter if they're surrounded by a little bit darker value. And that's what I'm hoping to do up in here. I'm going to add just a little bit of Indian yellow. And just a little bit of raw sienna. Too much. Back to the mixture. Cad yellow. And warm gray. I think we're doing just fine with these colors right here. Now if I went in with every single bush, it would take forever to paint this painting. But I think for now that is a really good base color that we mixed up. Now you want to look around to see where else we can use some of that, and I think I can use some right in here. And now let's get into kind of a really nice greeny green, a yellowy green. So let's go with some permanent and mix it off to the side here. Permanent green. I'm going to get some cold gray. And I'm going to get some lemon yellow. And squeeze that out, which I don't have out, I apologize. Getting kind of low in this tube. I better think about getting some more. All right. Putting the lemon yellow back. And I'm going to get some of that into the green. Add a little bit of white to it. And you can see that just that little bit of white I put in there really brightened that up and brought out that yellow-green a little bit more. I'm going to wash my brush, get a new paper towel, and before I go too much farther, I better get back and take a look at my shapes now that I'm getting some color in. And see how they're working. It's working pretty good. All right, I'm confident to move on. So I'm going to get these greens in here. And I need some in here. And in here. And wherever I see some of these really nice little greens, I'm going to slap some of this stuff in here. And I'm going to make some of this, some cold gray in this yellowy green thing. Get some more permanent. And I'm going to get some of that in here. And if you look at the reference, we're not too far off from what we need here. So what I try to do is turn my brain off from saying, this is a bush, this is a tree. And I'm trying to just look at basic shapes and values. Looks like I need some grays right through here. Gray greens. And I need some more of this yellowy stuff. Right up in here. All right, what's next? Let's fill in this area with some little bit of dark and then a lighter yellow, that lemon yellow thing on top. Lemon yellow, white. Then I see some silver. Too much gray. I see some kind of light silver in here. And putting that in appropriate places also. All right. I'm going to go into these trees next. And I see kind of a rusty, transparent oxide red with a little bit of blue in it. Transparent oxide red, maybe a little orange in there, cat orange, but it's pretty dark. This may not be dark enough, so I'm going to add some raw sienna. And I'm going to put this in, and I may need more blue ultra in there. And I think we're starting to get to the right place. Now let's go lighter, and I'll just stick with the orange side for now. There's yellows in there too, so I'm going to go cad yellow, or I'm sorry, cad orange, and get some of that up in the canopy and below the canopy and over in here. And we need some greens in there too, so I'm going to go over this yellowy, greeny thing and get some of that in, not dark enough. So we're going to go over here to the darker mixture I have, which is a darker green. There we go. Got kind of a stiff old line right here, so I'm going to go with my darks down below, bring them up into the light canopy. And I'm going to use some yellows into the orange and put some of that over here and in here. And I might as well get some down in here too. And then I have this background thing of pine trees, so I'm just going to go ultra, make it go back with a little bit of cool gray. And I'm going to get that in. Oh, isn't that a nice color combination? And I'm going to make it go a little higher than the reference suggests, just to show them that there's some mountains behind. I'm going to get back and look and also check my time, because I have a precious 9 minutes to go. And I will next go to the sky. So let me see if this manganese will work for the sky. I think this will work fine. Manganese blue. Manganese blue hue. So I'm going to put these kind of closer to the horizon. Verizon is the phone company. I'm painting the horizon. And just try not to make too big of a statement here of getting these lighter blues into the painting. And I'll raise them up a little bit over here. Ooh, that's a nice color, isn't it? And then we'll go darker as we go higher. So I think this is the manganese, and we're getting more manganese into the mixture. And I just have to mention how beautiful the blue skies were up in Wyoming. Wyoming's not known for its mild weather, north, south, east, or west. And to have such mild weather for 5.5 straight days was truly a gift. Okay, I know it's a really rough transition between the light and the blue, and that will have to be transitioned better. But for now, I just want to get the bold value color in and see how they're all working together. All right. So what I'm going to do next is add a little bit more white to the manganese mixture and do a transition between the darks and the lights. In other words, have an in-betweener right there. And that's a little bit better of a transition. And instead of messing around too much longer, I'm going to get a blending brush. In other words, a dry brush. This is a number 4. It's kind of starting to flare out a little bit. And I'm just going to go down, down. I'm drying the excess off my brush right here. And I might even make that sky darker, but I mean, that's my first impression. It's not dark enough, the transition. And if I really look at what's going on out there, it really is a big transition between here and here. So I'm going to get some cobalt in this mixture. Added a touch of Gamsol. And I'm darkening the upper sky with cobalt. There we go. It's better, more better. I'm going to put the blending number 4 brush down, and since I have a few minutes left, I'm going to work in this area right in here and work out my trees a little better. So again, I'm going to go back to cobalt and Indian, Indian, Indian. There we go. And work my values a little bit better across the spectrum here. And you see, how do you know what you're doing here? I want to try to get a color balance, and I'm being assisted by looking at the reference and seeing how these darks are connected. Okay. to go back to some greens I have mixed up right here. And I've got to make some lights in this area here. And here. And darken these, where I just lightened those. I have to darken these now because I've lost those nice precious darks. Cobalt, raw sienna. I'm going to get into the rust colors a little bit more. Looks like this is transparent oxide red and orange. And getting those in some respectable order. And again, I want to go back and be a little bit more, add more integrity to these trees and how tall they are. And look at the reference to see what they're telling me and giving me hints as to what to do. All right, let's get back. Whew, man. I think for 25, 20, 29 minutes, we have done really, really good. And I'm going to turn off the timer so it doesn't scare the daylights out of me. And say thank you for coming by for part 1 of Wyoming Fall, and not a bad little block-in. All right. So see you tomorrow in part 2.